Good morning. This is Navy Old Salt Gamer. I'm back on Stationeers. This is actually, I'm off the beta branch. They did the patch, in case anybody didn't notice. The big patch, all the trains and stuff are back on the regular, what do you call it? Regular branch, the player branch, I guess. So I wanted to show a couple quick things here. First off, I got my base set up here. My power's a little low because I've been running an ice crusher. You can see I've got 8 megapascals of oxygen and nitrogen in here. I dumped it all in at once because I wanted to do some experimenting. So what I got here is some tanks, obviously atmospherics. I got this set up inside the base, which I can't measure from here, but this is set for 95. So if it gets above 95 in here, it feeds it into the pipe through the ground here, out over there. This is a one-way valve just to make sure I don't get any craziness blowing back in, which just happened once, and I'm not sure exactly why it happened once, but it did. This is a back pressure regulator. It should not be letting air go in, but I injected a bunch of air in here, and it overpressurized my base, and I had to depressurize everything very slowly. So I'm not sure why that happened, but it didn't happen again. This is currently at 100, and the only thing that should be changing is the nitrogen. The other one should be going down, and I'll show you why. The only one that is on is the nitrogen. Now all the filters, well, all but the CO2. The CO2 is above pressure. I had to lower that because, as you see, I got some liquid in there, and I don't want a liquid. But I'm just letting it go. It's not doing any damage to the pipe, so I'm do at 24% stress. I should probably... it's not red. I haven't had any damage, so I'm okay as long as I don't get more in there. But I changed that over here. Now, I wanted to share with you my new atmospherics base control pressure and temperature. Well, not everything but temperature at this point. So this is what I got going on here. I'm controlling all my atmospherics with 27 lines of code, which I think is pretty cool. So what I did is I defined the atmos filters. That is every one of the 4 filters. Didn't have to do that, but that's okay. The atmospheric filters, that's the hash for it. And the pressure regulator, and that's the hash for it. So I defined in there all 4 atmospherics and all 4 pressure regulators. Now, how do I control them individually? Most people probably know where I'm going with this. I did alias interior gas sensor, which is this gas sensor right there. So how am I doing all this? Okay, so first thing I do is I check the pressures. And this is for my filters. And basically, I load batch name atmospheric filter CO2 filtration, which is my CO2 filter. This name has to be exact. And I check the pressure output. If it's less than 1,000, this will R0 will equal 1. If it's greater than 1,000, R0 will equal 0. So right now it's greater than 1,000, just keep that in mind. So then I save batch name, atmospheric filter, CO2 filtration, just like up here. And I'm turning on equal to R0, which in this case, since my CO2 is 4,000 or 4 megahertz, this is not a true statement. So it sets R0 to 0, which in turn sets on to 0. So that's why my atmospheric filter is off. O2. Now this one is running because it is less than 5,000. So that's a true statement. It sets it to 1, sets R0 to 1. And I turn on to 1. And I do that for every one of them. So they're all well, the only ones, I have this one set to 1,000, and I changed CO2 to 1,000 because it turns to ice at nighttime temperatures here. Water liquefies, and I don't want to blow pipes up that way. So the only ones, CO2 is off, every other one is on. And now I don't have, this will shut off at 1,000. It's going to take forever to get to a megapascal. But I'm just collecting some pollutants in case I need them in the future. So, is there still pressure in here? No, so it drained all that out. So, I had this set up to outside air for the longest time, and then I decided I would use the ice crusher. And again, one of the neat things about the ice crusher now, you can set the temperature. And this is for 25K. So this might be, you might see it, you might not, because as soon as it puts it in here, the filters suck it out. The filters are pretty fast. But my nitrogen, I got very little pressure in there right now. So, how am I keeping my base pressurized? Now, let's go around the back here. So I already did once, but I'll show you again. Now, I put this, I don't know how I got back pressure in here. I don't know exactly how that happened. Now, there's two ways it might have happened. I might have, well, no, it could only be through here. And this is a back pressure regulator, so it should not have let air in here. So I'm a little bit confused as to how my base got overpressurized, but since I put this in here, it's no longer happening. This is, like I said, a back pressure regulator. So it should not let air go from here into the base, but I'm convinced that it did. I don't know why, but I'm convinced that it did. And that did help my O2 pressure. That's pretty good. And my nitrogen. Okay, so anyway, this goes, once this gets overpressurized, or above 95K, it starts bleeding air into here. And this goes through the dirt into here, and then goes back into my filters. So how do I keep this at 100? It's actually very simple. I set all my regulators to 100. And the only one that's on right now is my nitrogen. And I'll explain that in a minute. All the other ones are turned off. So this will keep releasing nitrogen until this gets to 100 kPa. And then it'll slowly drain out because the inside is set to 95. So I have a circulation going. So how am I controlling that? And that's the second part of my code here, starting right here. Now I load three variables, R1, R2, and R3, ratio carbon dioxide, ratio oxygen, ratio nitrogen. And then, now these numbers I might flip around a little bit. These will work, I don't know. It might be easier to set some of these differently, but it's working. So I set less than R1, which is carbon dioxide, to 15%. So if it's less than 15%, this will be 1. If it's less than 15%, my CO2 regulator will be turned on. If it's above 15%, my CO2 regulator will be turned off. And then the ratio of oxygen, I have 35%. Same thing. If it's less than 35, it'll be turned on. If it's over, it'll be turned off. And then nitrogen, I have nitrogen for, I think, 50%. Yeah, 50%. So this controls which regulators are open, which in turn controls my air pressure and air ratios inside. You can see, if you watch slowly, my nitrogen will be going up. Now, notice the oxygen is too high. That's because of the initial, when I started this, I dropped ice in there. So the oxygen is not going to be running until that gets to 50%. And the CO2 regulator will not be on until that gets to 15%. I do have a little bit of pollutants in there, which should be slowly coming out. So, I could speed this up by setting that to 90 probably. So the only one that's running is my nitrogen regulator. And that's because my nitrogen is still not where I want it. I want it at 50%, it's at 21.3. Like I said, I could go in here, possibly speed this exchange up. Yeah, I'm thinking while I'm be talking. I'm wondering, I always screw up back pressure regulators. You want the arrow facing the direction that you want controlled, so that should be correct. Yeah, it's 95 in here. Well, it's 95 in here now because I opened the door. But, so now it should not be bleeding out any air, and it doesn't appear to be. So now the regulator, the nitrogen in here, there, it just went from 21.6 to 21.7. So the nitrogen is bleeding air in here, 21.8. So it is working. Now my question is, if I have this set up backwards, that would explain why air came in here. Back pressure regulators. I'm pretty sure you want the arrow facing the direction of the pressure you want controlled. So I'm pretty sure that's right, but there's a way we can check that in a second here. And I can actually speed that process up. No, I don't want to do that though. Let's see what happens. Now that should be over 100 when I bleed this air out of here. Because it takes the air out of this cube and puts it into the room. Let's see what we got here. Now that should slowly go down. And some air, I might have that back pressure regulator set up backwards. I wonder if that would explain there. I sometimes do that. I have problems with back pressure regulators. Let's find out. Let's see if I screwed up together. I'm not ashamed to show you my errors. I'm going to save it because I don't want to mess up. And we're going to spin this thing around and see what the heck happens. Because there's a one-way valve on there, so it shouldn't bleed any air in here. Drill. And this isn't hooked up to anything. It's not going to let me flip that because of the dang wire. Sometimes that works, and other times it thinks it's smarter than you. Don't mind that heavy cable. I just ran out of regular cables and didn't feel like cutting any. Actually, I can fix that now, probably. Maybe. Probably not. Anyway. So let's do back pressure regulator the other way. And how am I going to get the wire over there? This is going to be monkeyed up here. Oh, there we go. I don't care if I use heavy cables temporarily. This is going to look terrible, but I'll fix it. Just want to test and see if I have this stupid thing hooked up backwards. Oh, you guys are probably sitting there. It's not backwards, or it is backwards. Whatever it is. It's the only way I learn to do things, by doing stupid things like this. Alright, let me set for... So if I go decrease to 0, increase to 100, then step it down to 5. Now let's see what happens. I'm almost nervous. Here's the pressure going down in here. The only way I can check that again is to close the air and go out and watch the pressure. Let's see what happens. because now it's over pressurized. So we'll go here. 103.
Power low.
I don't know, so that pressure regulator does not appear to be working like I want it to. Wish there was a way I could close this. It wouldn't hurt to do that. So if I open this, oh, my light just went out. Turn that on, which is just breathing the air back into the room here. Close this. It'll take all the air out of there. 105, 103. It's not going down, or is it? Oh, it did just go down. Slow process. Maybe if I up this to 90, it'll work a little faster. $102. $102. Let me change my light. $102. Nothing seems to be happening here. Turned on. Set for 90. $102. Oh, there we go. 101. Boy, it's just slow. So it is exchanging air. So I probably did have that backwards. Now you're all saying, yeah, you did, you idiot. It was backwards. So it looks like it's working now. It just goes down slow. That's okay. I don't mind it doing it slow. Because like I said, I can breathe in here. Slowly over time, it'll get to the right pressure and the right balance in here that I have it set for. So only one minor glitch, and that was having that backwards apparently. Oops. 101. It does go down really slow, doesn't it? Okay, well, I don't want that to go down too fast, so I'm going to up it back to 95. I don't know if it has an effect or not. I could see some air going in here. Just a second ago. 100. So it does. It's going down slow. And now since it's 100, it should be filling slowly, putting nitrogen in here. But there you go. Helmet back on.
Power low.
So what does the pressure go down to when I do that? So that one little room makes quite a bit of difference. Up 5 kPa, 6 or 5 or 6. Let's turn that back on. Get the good air out of there. So this is at 100. That's good. So now this should probably stay at 100 because these are set for 100. So it should be releasing nitrogen into the air now. But there you go. It's working. I think I did have that on backwards. And everything is hunky-dory here. Turn this off. I got one more. Yeah, let's make 50. Put the extra in there. Probably burning up my battery using that heater like that. Yeah, 3 bars. That's good. That's strange. No, it's not. And again, if you want to see this code, it is working. If you put the back pressure regulator on the correct way. And again, that's still off. That's good. There's enough oxygen in there. I'm up to 1.2 megapascals in there. That's pretty good. And I got hardly any nitrogen. That's because as soon as it goes in there, it's being fed into the room. Now, unfortunately, in a closed loop system like this, as long as I'm not using oxygen, it's going to drain, of course, it's going to drain the oxygen in here. It should be okay, but I may have to watch that I don't overpressurize this, because the oxygen, since it's not being filtered out, the oxygen is being filtered out. It's a CO2 that's not being filtered out. And you can see the CO2 going up. So there's no place for the CO2 to go. So this may overpressure at some point. I'll have to watch that. Because it'll be pulling CO2 out of here and not putting it into the tank. So maybe I can just put a couple pressure tanks on here to suck up the extra. But you can see this. You have to watch the moles, because when it releases oxygen and nitrogen, the percentage goes down. But see, the moles are going up. So it's taking the CO2 out of here and just storing it into this tank with these pipes. And there's a lot in here because I had to set this for 1,000. As you can see, I got liquid in there. It's not doing any damage at 25% stress. So what I could do is slap a liquid relief valve on there. But I'm not that worried about it because it's not hurting anything. So there you go. Atmospheric control for your base on Mars. These will all be different, obviously, on different planets. Like on Europa, you're not going to have any CO2. You're going to have a ton of oxygen, but no CO2 or no nitrogen. So this will be different for every planet, but 26 lines of code to control atmospherics on Mars. Now again, not really controlling the pressure. I may have to set up a cooler eventually. The temperature when I started this was about 12, so it is going up. And there is a greenhouse effect in here because I got glass and sun and a light and a power controller, all that power stuff, and anything that you got running in here, from what I understand, puts out a little bit of heat. I gotta clean that up because that's going to drive me nuts. Move that over. Anyway, there you go. Everything's working. Sorry about that. Like the new map. I like the new train. Everything looks really cool. This particular map, I'm playing standard everything, I believe. Yes, I have to be because I have to take my helmet off to eat, so that'll be standard. And I hate to say it, and I might regret it later, but I think on Mars anyway, I think they nerfed mining. And I'll show you an example of what I mean. I think this is a good one right here. When you find a ore vein, you go down a long ways, and there's been iron mines that I hit like that, or iron veins, where I'll get 400, 450 iron out of it. So I believe they nerfed mining. I'm not going to say that too loudly, but 24.8%, and it is holding at 100. So ignore the fact that I was stupid and I had that on backwards. Other than that, everything was working really well. You have a good day.